Like zoom in. Do you want it like more zoomed in?
We can zoom in. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, cool. Nice. How do you feel about the lighting? I can adjust.
I'm chill with the lighting. It's
Okay.
more so about like movement.
All right, sweet.
Move. And I don't know, so when it comes to doing and making and creating, it's the process itself. It's never been, honestly, I don't know how I'm still doing this. I fell in love with telling stories probably from my earliest memory. I always say that it's like from age 4 because that's when a human being can like, their brain that has the ability to like form memories, but like probably since before then. I remember the first film that I ever watched. It was The Lion King. I cried like a baby when Mufasa died because who else didn't? But it was such a big moment and big things, and every single time that I watched that, I would still be there and singing and dancing. I'm a human being. I stand on 2 legs. I walk, this is how I move, but I'm still there like Simba and Pumbaa and Timon and like on the thing, and it's just like this, it was the embodiment, and it was like the full experience of the thing where I'm just like, oh my God, and I just can't wait to, like, it was just always that, telling the story and like being a part of the chorus, the ensemble, being the lead character. It doesn't really do anything other than give you an opportunity to tell a story or to be a part of telling the story. And so when it comes to what got me there, I feel like I couldn't even tell you what got me there. I was just I just was there, and I was like, okay, cool, this is where I live now.
Yeah. I saw a video. Wait, maybe I'll. Okay, sorry, I'm trying to. What was I saying before? Oh yes. So why am I putting it on an angle? Just put it in the middle. So yeah, on what you were just saying, I saw a video recently that was like about another topic kind of, but it was talking about how there's a bell curve involved with like any kind of. Actually, the video more broadly was just more about I'd say it was kind of a spiritual, more so video, talking about like the journey to get, I guess, like some form of authenticity or whatever. So it kind of could be applied to anything, but he was illustrating it by way of describing like there's like a bell curve that exists with like every kind of intuitive way of being, but in this case, like for the sake of this conversation, like practice, where how you do things as a child, the way you engage with things as a child is very just like thoughtless, natural, intuitive, and you're not conscious of what you're doing, you're just responding, and that is almost it in its most like, you know, undiluted form. But then as you grow and develop, it becomes a thing of, as you get older, so you're sort of here, you start here on the curve, and then as you get older, over time, into development, you sort of become more and more conscious and aware of the context of that thing that at first was just intuitive. And so as the curve rises, you're sort of learning how to formalize or structure or recreate the thing that was just intuitive. And so you do that by gathering more information, studying references, you know, learning about it in the context of a certain outcome, and it's like you climb higher and higher and higher until the midpoint of the curve is like you're completely overwhelmed and inundated with like information and so much consciousness of what you were doing that the structure and the formulas and the information become kind of paralyzing, or they kind of diminish you doing the thing, and so you've actually strayed quite far from like that first starting point, and then the curve kind of starts to descend where out of sheer overwhelm and kind of stuckness and frustration you start to kind of just like almost exhaustion drives you to kind of simplify. and then it's a gradual process of like simplification to essentially land on the other side of the curve at the same point that you started, except it's almost like you have to do all this absorption and learning to essentially like arrive at being a beginner again. Except the difference between someone who has gone on that whole journey and arrived at it versus a child that's just at the very beginning doing it intuitively is that information, or that accumulating of all of that kind of conscious information isn't wasted, because you're sort of practicing and operating like a beginner, except with the understanding of how it, like, you sort of understand the preciousness of that same intuitive quality. You understand that it actually, like you kind of understand its value, whereas when you're a kid, you're completely natural, but you're not really, you don't really have ownership of that kind of intuitive, like
you're just doing
it. So that also means it can be challenged, I suppose, whereas like when you arrive at it again, it's like this very intentional sort of hard-earned conscious almost surrender. I'd say, yeah, it's more of a deliberate surrender at that point to simplicity, as opposed to it just being like the water that you're swimming in.
Yeah.
So I kind of thought about that when you were talking about how it never felt, or your entry into acting didn't initially feel like you were really doing anything. It was just like how you responded to inspiration, I guess.
Yeah.
And I definitely can relate to that. Like that's definitely spans across medium. Like I definitely felt the same way about drawing, the same way about, for me, writing and like speaking, honestly. Like it's just kind of just like how I'm just, if I'm moved by something, it makes the response this like intuitive thing that almost inadvertently ends up becoming something else, like art. But it's not always done with the explicit purpose of like making art. It's just kind of like how the response manifests in your being, almost.
And I think it's also like, because acting and performing and doing all of the things, and then acting and the art form itself and the craft of it all has been something that has felt so just natural for me. The thing that I am constantly coming up against is the industry, the business politics of it. It's like all of the things where I'm just like, it's all of the noise that attempts to drown you out, and
kind of interacts with it.
And it's like, that's the thing that becomes like, oh my gosh, how did I do this? Because I didn't officially make the decision to be like, I'm going to be an actor until I was like 16, 17-ish. And I'm not that age anymore. And damn, am I shocked and surprised honestly, I think I'm like coming back around the other side of the curve to just be like, I'm just gonna do. It's like I've been as much of a nerd as I can be in regards to like industry standards and like what I must do and like what does a headshot look like, and then
so
going
much
showreels
sort of before you just have to surrender again.
And then just listen to the nerds, pretty much. Denzel Washington, nerd, love it. I will listen to whatever it is that he has to say about the thing, but also not take it as like Bible, more so just like, oh, this is a new, interesting way to play with it. Composers, I will also listen to, and I'm just like, bro, it's just people who are nerds at the thing that they do and interact with on a regular basis, and allow it, and like everything that they do is about serving the story as opposed to serving self. That is what I like. Those are the people that I learn from or appreciate and admire, and not from a place of placing them on a pedestal, but it's just like, oh, these are my peers. This is the capacity that my peers operate from. Therefore, this is peers in terms of, yes, they're art makers. Yes, they're greats in all facets, but they're also human beings doing the thing that
thing.
is.
They're just like arriving at their own version of the same thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's just like the joys and thrills of that. Like the other day we watched Contentious, but the Michael movie, and something I didn't even realize I was needing, wanting, missing, seeking, longing for was just being entirely in the thralls of something.
Yeah.
Where we're watching and I'm seeing it's like Michael Jackson raised me as far as sound goes.
Yeah.
At the time that he died, I did not, like, I thought every single thing that I was watching of Michael, I thought it was happening in real time. So I thought, okay, cool, he's these age.
Yeah,
like, I did not register. It's like, no, he's lived a whole life before I was born. And I'm seeing him now. And
that's crazy. That's really
yeah.
cool. Yeah. He
And
just has that sort of like transcendent, timeless quality too.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And so it's like I'm seeing the Thriller music video, and then I'm seeing the They Don't Care About Us music video, and thinking, oh yeah, this is like in the
this
same
is
6
happening
months.
now. Yeah.
Like this is, and it's like no, that's actually not what it is. But to see the humanity and see all the things of like just kind of like wanting to exist and play and what have you, and like just wanting to be a human being as opposed to being this spectacle.
Yeah.
And having innocent relationships with animals, and also just relationship to art reaching people as separate to fame and the machine that it is. And also just even having moments just like seeing the Beat It music video, like the construction of that, and just like being completely overtaken by the spirit. And now I'm just like,
yeah,
like
that
just
movie
dancing
really did
and
have that
moving
effect
and
too.
doing all of the things. And it's just like that is how I feel with with specific artists and specific things. But it's like to watch the movie and like the process of a person's life again, it just reminded me, I'm just like, that is what I'm seeking. To just be so like, not even to the point where I'm just like, oh, is this appropriate? It's like, no, just like entirely like, yeah. So
Yeah,
overcome by the thing.
Yeah. Like
It's like I don't have to think about the rest of the world. I don't have to think about, oh, is this? It's like, and I don't think that in recent years I have been, but I think that's been a product of existing in a fishbowl because we have so much access to each other that I like you're aware of like anything can be memed, anything can like go viral, whatever the heck it is, and I'm just like I'm still gonna exist regardless. But like it was a moment that was in connection to art making that I was just like, you just get to be
yeah.
and do the thing, and it's just like, right, whatever, like, yeah. And
do you think that just tapping into that, like that pure, just kind of just being, just embodying, I guess, like pure expression, do you think that goes hand in hand or ties somehow to being seen? Like, is it possible to like truly inhabit, like create that kind of creative presence, like the type we see Michael inhabit? But is it possible for that to exist unwitnessed? Or do you think that when people are embodying that kind of creativity, like at whatever skill level, in whatever medium, do you think that there's like an inevitable quality to that it will be witnessed, or it demands to be shared? Or can you tap into that unwitnessed?
I think it can exist unwitnessed. I think what becomes different is that it's not unchanging. Like you can't, it's like it doesn't have to exist as like a spectacle on the world stage or be shared and pushed in the same sense. It's just you're just existing, and then by extension of you existing, people are having an experience with you, and then they like have you ever met somebody and you're just, after interacting with them for the first time, you're just like, wow, and like it's able to just be that. They are so themselves, they are so free and relinquish control and like honestly, surrender to existence, that it changes you and affects you after interacting with them. So I feel like that's definitely where it's just like it can exist unwitnessed, in a broader scale, but it doesn't go without changing or like affecting.
I totally see it. Like, I see what you're saying. It's like, it doesn't need that as an incentive to exist, but just by nature of what it is, it just kind of affects its environment, like kind of like almost like an energetic field of some kind. Like it just sort of generates some sort of magnetism just by virtue of being so itself. Yeah. I agree with that. I think I've definitely encountered things and people like that where and it's random. Like sometimes it'd even be just like working at Trader Joe's. It'd just be like a customer I interact with. It's not always in the arenas of like someone trying to be a specific thing. It's just that kind of presence. You can feel when someone is kind of just like fully embodying themselves, and it does create a kind of, I think it's what people are like pointing at when they use words like charisma. I feel that's a good way to describe it, but that's like the front facing side of it, but it's almost deeper. It's like charisma is almost like an outward expression of just like that deeper quality of presence where people,
where it's like you're both connected in this moment, and it's like it's not like, it's not about star power, it's not about anything.
No,
it's literally
not
just
trying
like
to be anything other than itself.
How are you?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, cool. And like it's innocent and pure, but not pure in terms of like untouched, but pure as in just like it's existing in its most authentic form.
Exactly.
And
that's such
you're
a
being
great
invited to engage with that.
To participate in it for a moment.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes, and so you, because your day to day is mundane in and of itself, and you don't even realize when you are acting or existing differently to that, but when you do come across it, it's like it can change the shape of the rest of your day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even just for that moment, and then you start to realize, oh, there are people like this that exist in the world, and then you can start to make that conscious decision for yourself. It's just like not to be like, how do I get to
how
that?
How do I be like them? But it's more like,
but more so, it's just like, damn, what do they have? Like,
yeah.
what is it that I'm responding to so strongly? Oh, okay.
What does that look like in me? Yeah. And that's the cool thing too, because like even like what you were touching on earlier with like being in that bell curve thing. Part of why what I liked about his way of conceptualizing it was that whole journey into kind of complete overwhelm and being overconscious, it's not a flaw. It's actually a part of it's actually a very crucial part of the journey back to mastery or self-mastery. And what I like about that stage is it's fueled by like wanting to be a student of the things that excite you. So you enjoy them intuitively at first, but then of course you want more. How do I maximize? How do I refine this, improve this? How do I make this more prolific? And like, it's part of human nature to kind of like want to imbue everything with like more. And
it's
so
like, how do I and even with that, it's just like, how do I maintain a relationship with this?
Exactly. It's like you're trying to preserve it. Whereas you're a kid and you just handle things with such abandon. You don't care. There's almost like an unconscious assumption that there'll be more, so you don't hold on to things. And the process of trying to cultivate a practice is basically trying to preserve something or catch lightning in a bottle. But one cool thing with what you said earlier about being a student of, like, you referenced Denzel, is like, what I've been realizing lately is that every single person giving advice about how they arrived at that sort of pure expression or self-embodiment that we were talking about, everyone's advice is different. And so the advice is all the same, because it's ultimately like everyone is just expressing their own arrival at something that is going to be inevitably specific to you. So it's more like you can take pieces of their literal advice, like, oh, okay, he oftentimes, speaks with this. Like you can definitely incorporate like practical elements of other people's advice, but I'm kind of realizing it all becomes like the same at a certain point. Like, you know, with like self-help, how there's like so much self-help out there that it can feel almost like useless in a way, because it's like it even starts to contradict itself. But it's more that like we're always looking for the answer, but what we're inspired by is actually people's independent arrival at their own version of the same thing, which is just like self-embodiment. So it's like, oh, I figured out how to do it this way, and if you ask me, I will share with you how I did it.
It's like, this has been my experience of it.
Exactly, but really it was just their own journey along the bell curve of their own. But I think we get really stuck on like the mechanics, like if I can figure out the mechanics of how that person moves, or did they go to school, I should go to school, I should do this, if they walk like this, and then it ends up adding to our own like overwhelm stage. And it's only when we completely shed the idea that we're even supposed to be like them that we find some version of it that's our own. And then we end up having the same effect on others. Like and then someone will ask you, like, Navera, like, what's your advice? And then you'd give them your advice, but your advice really is for them to be themselves, which sounds like cliche, but like is that your ring face?
Yes. That's what
listen, that's on my like favorite song.
Okay. Oh, wait, as in outside, you want me to open the door, or outside as in you want me to come downstairs?
Yeah, as in like, you guys were leaving.
Oh, okay, cool. You know what? I'm gonna come downstairs, park the car. Give me a second.
Oh, she said park the car. So should we get hot chocolate? Should we go pick up Noah's other sister?
Give me like, yo, it's not that.
Sorry. You're on speaker.
Where?
What do you mean where?
Where is Karis physically?
I mean, I've got her location, so I'll figure that out once I park.
Are we joining them now in the car?
Should we get hot chocolate and then come back to you guys?
If you do that, don't come back.
Wait, let's just go with them.
Yeah, no, let's go with them. But I'm just like, oh, give me like a minute, because I need to go put on clothes.
Okay, you just saw clothes the whole time?
We're still talking, damn!
We can cut it. I feel like that was good.
Okay, yes, we can cut it. But it did make me think of, give me 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, bye.
Bye.
It made me think of a light through a prism, and the way that when you see the light rays, when you see the single beam of light
like
refracts, and you see the entire rainbow. And it's just like, not to say that you can't take away one of those and it doesn't change the light source that's coming straight through it, but each of those
is its own
contribute
vantage point of the same thing. That's literally what I mean. Yeah, that's it. That's like the whole.
And so it's like the refractory nature is what gets you to the light.
Literally. And then you could even argue that the light is the same thing.
Yes.
The light is the same thing.
You're just standing in a different point.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
But yeah. See, science always comes back.
No, science has really been helping me conceptualize these things lately.
Science has been the not the beacon of my life.